despite what you might think, this is not the same Maserati Gran Turismo that you've known, loved, and probably gotten a little sick of over the past 17 years. No, this is the all-new for 2024 second-generation Maserati Gran Turismo. We are here in the beautiful, very dry, very cacti-filled Sonoran Desert just outside of Tucson, Arizona. I live in Los Angeles. I figured what better way to put the new Gran Turismo through its grand touring paces than a 500-mile, 7-hour drive from LA to Tucson. Let's see what we think. It likely doesn't share a single component with the previous generation, but it sure does look the same. Here are some of the biggest aesthetic differences and similarities that we have found with the old generation and the new generation. Let's start with the differences first. Check out these all-new headlights. They're gorgeous, they are aggressive, and they look like jewelry. They contrast well with these hood channels that are available both on the base Modena and this Trofeo trim, which is the most aggressive, highest performance version of the Gran Turismo at launch. The front fascia is all new, even though it does look kind of similar. The front badge is also entirely new. It doesn't have as much silver, doesn't have any red as the old badge. It's kind of cool. Because this is the Trofeo and the most aggressive, we have a Trofeo specific wheel set. Now here's what's essentially unchanged over the last generation. We have the same awesome speed holes that were on, I think, pretty much every single Gran Turismo ever built. We have this beautiful, aggressive Trident badge on the rear pillar. And to be honest with you, basically the entire rear end. And you know what? That's really not a bad thing. The original generation car was so darn beautiful, even up to its final 2019 model year. I'm really glad they were able to basically get the entire shape of the old car on an all-new platform. You know, so the taillights, of the differences on the rear, the taillights are a little bit more narrow, a little bit more aggressive. The entire portion of the rear fascia is different and changed. And then we've got a revised rear air diffuser on the bottom of the bumper. Oh, and in addition, the Gran Turismo script is a little bit revised over the prior generation. You see, it's kind of tricky to find these differences. That's how similar these cars really are. Now, of course, the most significant changes are to be found under this nice new fancy skin. And well, let's start with the biggest change. In place of the beautiful, wonderful, buttery, caramely 4.7 liter naturally aspirated V8 that we all loved so very much in the old Gran Turismo, we have a new 3-liter twin turbo V6. Ooh. Now, I say new, it's not exactly new. We did get our first taste of this in the semi-new Maserati MC20 mid-engine supercar. And all the same stuff that we liked about that is here. That means this has twin spark ignition, it's got pre-chamber combustion. Now it is detuned slightly over the 621 horsepower version in the MC20. This means in the Trofeo, which is the most aggressive and performance-oriented trim at launch, this is 542 horsepower and 479 pound-feet of torque. That is 59 horsepower up over the base Modena. Now, regardless of trim, all of second-gen Gran Turismos come with this engine. They come with all-wheel drive, and no matter how you spec it, they all have an 8-speed automatic. Now, not a dual clutch, automatic.
If you were impressed with the stylistic improvements and mechanical changes on the outside, wait till you see the interior of the new Gran Turismo. I cannot stress just how improved the new car is over the old car, from a material, from a presentation, from a design, from a quality of life standpoint. It's phenomenal. I guarantee the first thing you're going to notice when you hop in the new Gran Turismo is just how improved the interior tech is over the old car. Now, here's a little bit of controversial take here. There are no physical buttons in the inside of the Gran Turismo other than the physical shift buttons for the transmission operation and the hard buttons you get on the steering wheel and of course the window switches. But other than that, all basic vehicle functions from infotainment all the way down to the climate controls and the auto start stop and seat functions, they're all controlled through 4 screens spread out the interior. I know that's kind of a controversial take, but really in my experience, which I prefer hard buttons usually, this system works quite well. So on the primary screen, which is on the top portion of the center part of the dash, this is your standard infotainment screen. It handles Apple CarPlay, it handles navigation, Bluetooth connection, all that good stuff. But it also has a series of performance pages that you can access while you're driving, and it has auxiliary stuff like boost pressure gauges, oil pressure gauges, torque vectoring layouts. Interesting, neat kind of stuff like that. On the bottom portion of the center console, you have a different screen that controls, like I said, the climate controls. So this also includes heated steering wheel functions, cooled seats, heated seats. Even the glove box is controlled through the touchscreen, which I know is kind of goofy, but trust me, it works. And moving to the driver's side of the dash, you have the beautiful configurable digital layout that we are really becoming familiar with in this new era of cars. It's gorgeous. It's high refresh rate. It's excellent resolution, and again, it's very configurable. So there's a number of layouts that you can choose. You can have your navigation be ported to the center of your gauges. You can push everything to the side. You can bring everything in the middle. It's quite beautiful. And believe it or not, the fourth screen, which I was wondering if you would figure that one out, is actually the clock. Now, when I say clock, it's really just a tiny circular screen mounted at the top, the upper portion of the dash. Now, this can be configured through that bottom center screen. I know this is going to get kind of confusing, but once you see the car, it makes sense. You can, because Maseratis of old used to have, one of their signatures was an analog clock in the middle of the dash. It was quite a popular option. Maserati included a callback to this, but with a 21st century twist. So now, instead of an analog clock, it's a high refresh rate, high resolution circular screen that acts as a clock, which you can have 3 distinct styles of clock, or you can toggle a compass function. You can have it as a G meter. That's pretty cool. Yeah, it's quite configurable, and it really does add quite a bit to the experience. Now, for the non-digital stuff, the materials, as this is a Maserati, the interior is awash in gorgeous leather, beautiful aluminum trim, raw carbon fiber here, raw carbon fiber applique here on the center console. Really, the leather is top notch. It's rich. As you can see, it's quite colorful. It's blood red. Yeah, the stitching is impeccable. It's beautiful to touch. It's beautiful to look at. The metal trim is subtle. It's probably not visible within the first few seconds of getting in, but it is embedded here on the dash. It's got a beautiful tricolore enamel badge here for the Italian flag. The Gran Turismo script on the dash is a nice, beautiful touch. These gorgeous, comfortable, well-bolstered sport seats are standard with all trims. And speaking of seats, this is a Gran Turismo or Gran Tourer, so there are 4 seats, and this is a 2+2 configuration, so you can bring your friends, and your friends can enjoy all this nice, beautiful leather as well.
And the net result of all these major changes is a car that is almost wholly unrecognizable to the car that it replaces. And we, of course, have to talk about the small displacement elephant in the room, and that is that no matter how punchy and mean and meaty this 3-liter twin-turbo V6 is, it is just not quite as evocative as the naturally aspirated 4.7-liter V8 that it replaces in the last generation. So yes, it does not sound nearly as good, but it packs a huge punch. What is remarkable is how it does feel wholly Maserati. It's no natty V8, but this engine feels like it could be in nothing else other than a Maserati. I feel like there's just so much weight on the second generation Gran Turismo shoulders. I mean, the first generation, as beloved as it was in the very beginning, in the first couple model years, towards the end of the product cycle, it was just kind of the butt of a lot of jokes. I've always had a huge soft spot for Gran Turismo, both the first and now this second generation. And I think people misunderstand what the purpose of this vehicle is. It's right there in the name, Gran Turismo, Gran Touring. If you evaluate the new Gran Turismo and the old Gran Turismo against sports cars, dedicated sports cars like a 911, a Corvette, even an Aston Martin Vantage, the new AMG GT, it's going to fall apart. In terms of aggression and performance and capability, think of this as the middle ground between the sharp, peaky 911 and the much more expensive and much more luxury-focused Bentley Continental GT and even the Wraith. At least in the modern era, these larger Maseratis, those being the four-door Quattroporte and this Gran Turismo, they've always been positioned and kind of designed and marketed from the outset as being the gentleman's Ferrari, or maybe the gentleman's alternative to the more raucous, more expensive, more uncomfortable, more aggressive Ferraris that we see like in the Ferrari 812 and 296. Compared to Ferrari's focus on-track performance, Maserati puts an emphasis on longer legs. You've got 4 seats, you can bring your friends, you can throw all their stuff in the huge trunk. There's a softer suspension. It's just a much more comfortable car to use long distances. But all this luxury doesn't mean that the new Gran Turismo isn't a tremendously capable performance vehicle. The very definition of a Grand Tourer is something that perfectly blends performance and comfort. The idea is that it is as comfortable and well-equipped enough that you wouldn't think twice about hopping in a Grand Tourer to take across the country, to take up the coast. It's all about turning a commute into a journey. Without the V8, it has lost that buttery, rich, amazing V8 soundtrack, but you have gained an incredible amount of torque and around town usability and top end and speed and everything everywhere with this turbocharged engine. I mean, the way that this thing gathers speed is insane, and I am framing that in our world of instant torque, over-accelerating EVs, and 800 horsepower Hellcats. And as part of this, driver inputs are really well balanced. Steering is sharp and communicative, but it's not too heavy, it's not too busy. The brake pedal is not too firm, it's a little bit softer than what you'd find on a 911 or Corvette, or even an AMG GT, but the stopping power is tremendous, but it also allows you to modulate well in traffic situations for better comfort. All second generation Gran Turismos ride on an adaptive self-leveling air suspension that can either stiffen things up or soften things down depending on which drive mode you're in. And this is not revolutionary technology, but in the Gran Turismo it works exceptionally well.
I gotta say, between the powerful new engine, gorgeous interior, and comprehensive upgrade of quality of life over the old generation, I'm in love with the new Gran Turismo. It's such a fabulous car. But for the full breakdown and full review, you gotta go to cars.com.